Hey, welcome back to That 70s Card Show. I'm your host, John Keating, and I thank you for joining me as I take a look back at the cards and the culture of the very colorful 1970s. We'll revisit a more simple time in our hobby by taking a deep dive into the sets and the stats with a generous amount of dad facts sprinkled in. That 70s Card Show is currently sponsored by nobody. If you have a comment or suggestion, I urge you to drop me a line at that70scardShow@gmail.com. That's 70s Card Show on YouTube or 70s Card on Twitter. This is episode 44. And if you've listened to any of my shows, like a gentleman or lady from Port Harcourt, Nigeria last week did, then you'll know that I believe in the numbers. So I want to report that I'm fully vaccinated with booster shots against modern baseball. So the events of the past week really have no effect on my collecting at all. So happy for all you modern folks out there. I like my haircut and my clothing style are stuck in the 70s. Big week travel wise, Indy, Orlando, back to Indy, back to Philly. Next week we go to Los Angeles, and then Orlando, and then the big Apple, New York City. So sneaking an episode in here. Let's talk a little bit about Saturday, March 12th, 2022. Virginia Tech Hokies are the ACC tournament champions. They will be playing in the NCAA March Madness thingy. Glad to see that my 2 years I've paid of out-of-state tuition for my son are having an impact on the program. Congrats to all Hokies. Congrats to everybody down there in Blacksburg. Wonderful, wonderful time watching the run of the past week, beating the 3, the 2, and the 1 seeds in the ACC to clinch that berth. Villanova, of course, Big East tournament champions as well. Awesome there. They should have won the regular season championship, but they played more Big East games than Providence did, had more victories, but the Big East, like 1972, Major League Baseball decided that Providence need not play any more games and declared Providence the winner for some odd reason. And my Eastern Gateway Community College Gators, a 2-year college which I matriculate at, keeping my fingers crossed for an at-large bid tonight to the big dance. Doubt that that's going to happen. A couple pickups this past week. First of all, my collection, by the way, is in. Let me do something with my lighting here that's completely obnoxious. My collection. There we go. That's better, I think. My collection is closed for maintenance. It has been for some time. I haven't really been buying anything much as I try to dig my way out of this mess that this Amish collection that I bought in December. I'm still trying to. I completely took my collection apart and I'm rebuilding it. Most of it is around the corner there in monster boxes being sorted by year. So anyway, that's that. So I haven't been getting much, buying much, but I did decide to patronize a few content creators, at least one content creator. So this fella here who runs a project called 1,000,000cubs.net. That's Bo. We all love Bo. He's probably on a little hiatus from his thing too because he's a full-time dealer now. And Bo 1,000,000 Cubs on YouTube runs a wonderful program pretty much every day of the week, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, live chat, which a couple folks that I've really enjoyed watching them type and ask questions and converse with Bo, and Bo likewise. So hit up Bo's store. Not quite sure what that is, but he'll be able to tell you if you stop by his YouTube channel and have a chat with him on, again, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. I got this 2017 Carl Michael Yastrzemski, the best baseball player ever, Faya card. I bought that at Bo's store, so I appreciate that, Bo. Bo wrote me a nice note saying he appreciated my business. Anyway, patronize the content creators and patronize their stores as well, because most of these people that I run into are pretty damn cool people. More importantly, speaking of content creators, Chris from All Time Sports Cards sent me some 1970s Topps cards that I need. There's 10 in total right here. I have myself a Larry Boa and Denny Doyle rookie. Denny Doyle, of course, played all over the bigs. I believe he was the second baseman for the 75 Sox, perhaps. Larry Bow, of course, world champion 1980 with the Philadelphia Phillies. Nice little Harmon Killebrew right here. Beautiful. And it's one of those dugout bat deals. Not quite the big bat rack from the 70 series, but a beautiful card. A Tom Seaver subset from the playoff series. A Juan Marichal All-Star card. I had myself a Rod Carew All-Star card, and then there's a couple other guys in here that are high numbers, which What a Gesture by Chris from All Time Sports Cards. Chris makes great videos. His collection focuses a lot of around the same era as mine, or at least that's what he shows us. But he's got an incredible basketball collection, incredible football collection. He does hockey, he does baseball, of course. So great collection. Very envious of that. And his son is a Hokie as well. His son is a class of 2024 Hokie like my son, and they're both engineering students. So obviously Chris and I have a lot in common. More importantly, Chris is in a little bit of a pickle right now with his YouTube channel because I think there's some email access issues he's having with YouTube. I don't understand why YouTube doesn't allow people to switch emails. So hopefully Chris can get back up there. I know he's been releasing some previously recorded material because it was timed. So it's like dealing with somebody that's passed on, yet they keep leaving you voice messages. So Chris, hopefully you can get back up on your feet. Don't give up on your content creation because I think you do a great job, and I know a lot of people enjoy it. So keep going, and more importantly, let's go Hokies. So what else we have? That should be about it as far as things I need to circle back and talk about. Let's talk about episode 44. And if it's a big mystery to you at this point, it shouldn't be anymore. 44, Henry Lewis Aaron from Mobile, Alabama. This episode is completely dedicated to Hank Aaron. I often refer to Hank Aaron as the greatest hitter in my lifetime. I was born in 1968, so therefore we overlapped for about 10 seasons. I never willingly or knowingly got to see Hank Aaron play. I know I went to the 1976 All-Star game in Philadelphia as an 8-year-old, and that had been the first All-Star game since 1955 that Hank Aaron was not at, apparently. So didn't get to see him in 1976. Of course, he was 42 years old at that point and a Milwaukee Brewers designated hitter, or hitter of designation, as they might say, up in Montreal. What can you say about this cat, right? He led the career home run record in home runs when he retired, still holds the RBI record in a career. Total base record he still holds. Hit 755 dingers, drove in nearly 2,300 runs, and all that while hitting 305, lifetime 5.55 slugging percentage. So I love Hank Aaron. I think I'm going to talk to you about a few things here that I compartmentalize. So I compartmentalize and the way I process stuff. So what that means is, again, Hank Aaron, best hitter in my lifetime. I think his numbers prove that. Best hitter of all time, I think, is Theodore Samuel Williams. Lost probably 4 or 5 years to 2 different wars, and his record stands for itself. Stan Musial, of course, people think he's great, but Stan Musial missed 1 year due to the war. Ted Williams would have obliterated all of whatever Stan Musial had above him, I'm sure. Had Ted had those extra couple seasons, 5 seasons back or whatever. So yeah, that's that. That's what we're going to talk about. I love DiMaggio. I think DiMaggio's numbers are great, but again, I compartmentalize things. I live in a black and white world most of the time, or at least when it comes to numbers. And I like to say that players of a certain era played against players in the field that were wearing basically oven mitts on their hands for gloves. And I'm talking about those folks that played in the first several decades uh, of baseball in the 20th century. So maybe even 30 years, 40 years, whatever, till gloves became a thing. A lot of cheap hits as far as I'm concerned. I also take into account that anybody before 1947 or played most of their career before 1947 played only against half the greatest players there of their era until integration happened. So integration played a big factor in things. Ted Williams played, I don't know, maybe 14 seasons, not full seasons, but 14 years. His career overlapped with integration. Same with pretty much the same with Stan Musial. Henry Aaron played his entire uh, career in an integrated league, so the best of the best were playing. In fact, as most of us know, Hank Aaron played for the Indianapolis Clowns in the Negro Leagues, and I believe that he was the last Negro leaguer to be active in Major League Baseball. And when I say that, I know Minnie Minoso came back a few times for a couple of nostalgic record stabs, but Hank Aaron obviously played up until and through 1976. So I believe he was the last retired Negro League player. Um, didn't play much in the Negro leagues. I think it was 1 year with the Indianapolis Clowns, 2 years in the minor leagues. But old Henry could hit the ball. So compartmentalized John Keating part 3 is that I'm going to cover when I'm going to make my lists here throughout my podcast and YouTube career, however short or long it may be. I am going to make sure, as best I can, with few exceptions, that the players eligible for my little awards in the 70s played their entire career in the 70s, or played all the 70s, I should say. So 70 through 79. That might not always work out, but Hank Aaron is an exception, obviously, and I'll give you another reason why here in a second. So old Henry died, obviously 2021 on my birthday, January 22nd. So I feel like I have one more connection to this guy, other than obviously thinking he's the greatest hitter of my lifetime. Let's talk a little bit about Hank Aaron in the 70s. Okay, his 36 year old season was 1970. Okay, at that point he had played in the majors since 1954. Actually, incidentally, wearing the number 5, right? Switched to number 44 in 1955. Kind of wanted to change his luck, which would be kind of fascinating. At 44, he would be tied to throughout his career, and I'll give you several examples of that. But we know Hank won his World Series ring in 1957 when he was the MVP. We know that he was consistent throughout his career, of course. He led the league many times in various things, including home runs, RBIs, hits, runs, doubles, slugging percentage, all that stuff. So he was, that's why I consider him such a great hitter. He essentially led the league in most offensive categories throughout his career. Led in batting average twice. One time batting 355 in 1959. So I think that's a pretty special player, a guy that can be that well-rounded. He even hit 14 triples one year and stole 31 bases another year. So he was a 30-30 guy because he hit 44 home runs that same year. So obviously, why does John Keating need to talk about this cat? I understand. So let's fast forward to 1970, 36 years old, still slugging him, 38 home runs, 118 RBIs, batted 298 that year. Now 71, he set a career mark for home runs at the age of 37 by hitting 47 home runs. So this guy's supposed to be heading out into the sunset. He was kind of just getting started when he, 70, 38 home runs, 71, 47, 72, 34, 73, 40. And this guy played he was hitting home runs like crazy, and this guy did it playing in the high pitcher's mound era of the '60s with Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and all those guys. So he was slugging these balls over these fences in some pretty difficult circumstances for many hitters, and averages were dropping throughout the league, home runs as well. Retired again in 1976 after leaving Atlanta Braves to go to the Milwaukee Brewers, where he served as essentially a permanent DH. Now, he did play outfield for a couple games in 75 and 76. I think it was 3 games in 75 and 1 game in 76. And they had even tried him before he even left. He played quite a few games at first base for the Atlanta Braves throughout his tenure there. So Hank, love Hank. We're going to talk a little bit about his cards now. Again, number 44. Okay, Henry Aaron was number 44. He hit 44 home runs 4 times. He broke Babe Ruth's record in April of 1974. And he did it in the 4th inning off of Al Downing, who also was wearing the number 44. And that's pretty cool symmetry there. So we're going to talk about Hank's cards, but before this is one of the exceptions as well here. You probably haven't done the work like I have out of sheer boredom, but try to count up how many cards, what the most cards on appearances on Topps cards in the '70s baseball sets were. Obviously, the '70s had a whole bunch of things going on, like Kellogg's and Hostess and coins and scratch offs and super cards and all that stuff. But we're talking about Topps base sets. So my research tells me that Tom Seaver appeared on 26 cards throughout the '70s, and that's leaders, that's boyhood, blah 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 stuff from '73 and '72, playoff cards, all that fun stuff. So Tom Seaver, Hall of Famer, of course, appeared in 26. Now, right behind Tom Seaver is a guy who stopped playing in '76 and still appeared on 25 cards in the 1970s. Topps base or Topps base or flagship, whatever you want to call it now, but the Topps base set. That ties Reggie Jackson, who switched to number 44 when Hank Aaron retired and Reggie moved on to the Yankees. Reggie had been number 9 up to that point for the Baltimore Orioles and previously the Oakland A's. So Reggie and Henry Aaron, 25 cards each. If you count Tommy Aaron, the Aarons are 27 cards total, which leads all other brother combos in the major leagues in the '70s. Just a couple other things in there. Johnny Bench, 24 cards. A couple other guys that poked up to 20 were Jim Palmer, Rod Carew. Nolan Ryan was on 23 cards. Nolan Ryan, of course, a lot of those leader cards, strikeout leaders, stuff like that. And I think he was on one of the '70s playoffs or World Series highlight cards as well as a Met. So that's why we're featuring Hank Aaron on that '70s card show, because he's got 25 cards in the top sets from the 1970s, and we're going to kind of go over those real quick, and hopefully that'll make a nice little neat episode. I'm going to bring my card cam on to the screen for those folks who can see that. Maybe I'm going to see which one works better here. So I brought some of old Hank's other cards out to discuss as well, to kind of serve as a backdrop. First card we're going to highlight, obviously, is his 1970 Topps. I guess it's his main card, but that's card number 500. As we know, Topps would always feature players, special players for numbers 1, 50, 100, etc. So 500 card in 1970. That's our Hank Aaron card right there. I love this card. I think it's one of his best, to tell you the truth. I love how he's just standing in the dugout in his road uniform, holding a baseball with a glove under his hand, a glove under his arm, just ready to play, and saying, take that picture, please. Take that picture, please. Take that picture, please. So love that picture. There's, as we know, All-Star cards from the 1970 set, and card number 462 has a cartoon on the back. Hank Aaron, 1969 was the 14th year in which he has scored 100 or more runs. That breaks Lou Gehrig's record of 13 years. So record breaker for Hank Aaron. Nice little card there. It's kind of taken at the same time, I would imagine, as the base card. So, yeah. So give me a second here. I just realized I might have to do something to my camera. I might have to clean my camera. So there we go. Maybe that's a little bit better. Maybe not. Maybe I just have a crappy camera. So if you're listening, I apologize, but we're going through the cards here. I got the cards down on the AstroTurf right next to me. And of course, card number 65 in the 1970 top set is the home run leaders from the National League, which features Willie McCovey as your leader with 45 dingers. Of course, Hank Aaron with the aforementioned 44 home runs, and Lee May with 30. I think it's 38. Let's look. Let's bring out the old loop. He had 38, and Tony Perez had 38, but for some reason, old doggy did not make it on this card, unfortunately. So that's 3 cards from the 1970 set, and away we go. 1971, and keep in mind, some of these cards are kind of dinged up, but a lot of these cards I've had since the late 70s. So 1971, of course, Hank Aaron is only featured on 1 card. Oddly enough, he probably had one of his best years. That was the year that he 71 is the year he hit 47 home runs, 118 RBIs. He slugged 669. Came in third as the MVP. He also hit 327 that year, and that was a 37-year-old. Came in third in MVP that year behind Joe Torre and Willie Stargell. Joe Torre had a monster year, 230 hits, 137 RBIs, and a 363 batting average for St. Louis. And Willie Stargell, 48 dingers, 125 RBIs, and 295 for the Bucks from Pittsburgh. So only 1 card in 71, but old Hank had a great year. All right, so 72, 4 cards featured that year. And his first card, I guess, let's go by numerical order, right? That would make sense. I'm going to go in descending order. So card number 300 is Hank's in-action card. Hank is jogging around the base path in God knows where. Not sure, but he's wearing a road uniform right there. I'm going to try to get that in there a little bit more. My camera just flat out sucks today. Yeah, so that's his in-action card. Again, the 72 set, big set, bloated set, all that stuff. Card number 299 is the standard issue Hank Aaron card. Probably a spring training shot there. He's wearing his pinstripes, his Braves pinstripes. So that's that. Now he appears on 2 leader cards. Card number 89 is the home run leader card. He came in second place behind Willie Stargell. Willie Stargell, 48 again. Hank Aaron, 47. And Lee May was 39 home runs that year. So that's a 3-way card. And then he was also third in RBIs behind Torrey and Stargell. Might as well be an MVP card because it's the same order they finished in the MVP as well. So 4 cards from that 1972 set. Now 73, it starts to get interesting here because Topps, as we know, Topps is not sentimental. We know that from for various reasons. One is that they didn't do a career card for Thurman Munson in 1980, but it seemed like they were starting to get a little sentimental. So first of all, the 473 card is the all-time total base leaders, and it has Aaron. This is I guess he had broken that record in 72, but he edged out Stan Musial, and he was still ahead of Willie Mays at that point, and Willie would retire after this season. So here's the 73 black and white Topps card. Career total base leaders, card number 473. His regular card, again, card number 100, pretty special card, has him playing first base and listed as a first baseman for the Braves, wearing those awesome 70s blue uniforms and looking for a fly ball in Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Broad and Patterson Avenue. Card number 1 features the all-time home run leaders, and like we said, they're obviously onto something at this point because they know the record is within reach. So they put old Babe Ruth on there with number 714, right? And then Hank at that point had 673, and Willie Mays 654. Willie, of course, was spent by this point. And keep in mind that this record was a pretty big deal because nobody had even gotten to 600 home runs until Willie and Hank did that, I think, in the early 70s. So it was a pretty big deal. This home run thing, they were counting down for a little while. So 3 cards from the 73 top set. I wonder what they look like in the Heritage this year. I guess we'll find out. Now, 74 was the big year. We know 74 was the big year for many reasons. Again, in April, he broke the record, hit home run number 715 against Al Downing. He's featured on an all-star card, which is card number, loop, please. Card number 332, I want to say. Now, this is a tough card because the back of the card has puzzle pieces on it, so the card number is hard to see. Anyway, he's featured as an all-star first baseman in that glorious, again, uniform from the Braves, and with Dick Allen. Dick Allen, of course, from the White Sox at that point. So this is where it gets interesting. And for people like me, I want to say that this is one of the top 3 subsets from the 1970s. This next bunch, the next 5 or 6 cards, depends on how you want to categorize card number 1. But cards number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 obviously feature previous years tops cards, and counts. Obviously it counts up from card number 2. But one of the reasons I like this subset is that I got to see probably for the first time what the old Hank Aaron cards looked like back in the day. So pretty cool. I have a lot of them. I need to get the left-handed one from 57, and I need to work on my 60s for sure. I think I have a 62, 63, 64, and 67 that I need to figure out on how to get, and then I'll be done, Hank. I don't know why I waited so long. And, of course, card number 1, Home Run King. I've spoken about this on other shows, how the cojones Topps had to print this card, knowing that what happened to the great Roberto Clemente the year before, dying in the off season. So and the junk that had surrounded Hank Aaron's chase for breaking Root's record as well. It was pretty progressive move on Topps's part to do that, because Topps again was a pretty conservative entity, if you ask me. So Home Run King, Hank Aaron, it says right there, new all-time home run king. And of course, when they came up with that card, it was probably in the fall or early winter of 1973. And they went forward with it anyway. So kudos to Topps for sticking their necks out on that one. I'm glad they did it, because that's one of my all-time favorite cards. That Hank Aaron card, I think, is just a wonderful card. It just completely goes against the grain of what Topps was doing or had done up to that point. So Hank is our new home run king. We know that. We're pretty proud of him. Everybody's proud of him. Hopefully everybody that wasn't got over it pretty quickly, because, on April 8th, 1974, it was inevitable. Our boy was going to be the new home run king. 3 cards in the 1975 set. One of the coolest ones, and again, this is probably this is also in my top 3 subsets from the 70s, the most valuable player cards. And card number 195 features the 57 valuable players. And, of course, it's Mickey Charles Mantle, the Commerce Comet, and our boy Hank Aaron, the left-handed Hank Aaron, who was nicknamed Porkchop when he was in the Negro Leagues because apparently that's all he would eat on road trips. So nice MVP card there. Obviously, there's a mini of this and the next two cards as well. I decided not to highlight those, although I love the minis. Card number 660 is the last card in the set, the 1975 Topps, and it features an airbrushed Hank Aaron in a Brewers card, even though we all know he's wearing Braves colors at that point. But side shot, profile shot, a la Dick Allen from the late 60s, early 70s. Hank Aaron, a Brewer, designated as a hitter of designation, as a position player. And card number one, so that's the last card, 660. Card number one is his 74 highlights featuring his record-breaking career home run mark. And what's interesting about this card and card number 660 is that I should probably move this dang thing over. The All-Star designation goes on his highlight card, right? So you're probably asking yourself why did that happen? Why does his All-Star card have a designation, or why does his highlight card have a designation on it? Well, the card clearly shows 1974 NL All-Star. Well, it just says NL All-Star to tell you the truth, but he was an All-Star in 1974, and it probably somebody in Topps probably said, if we put the NL All-Star on his Brewers card, that won't make sense. So they kept it on his they put it on his highlight card, card number one, where he's in a Braves uniform. And that way he is a National Leaguer in a National League uniform with a National League All-Star designation. So interesting that a subset card gets a designation like that. So pretty cool right there. And that eventually will be a question I have. And related to that will be a question I have for Victor, the rookie card specialist, with a couple cards that happened later in the decade. So moving on to 1976, of course, our hero is now firmly entrenched in Milwaukee. That means we get to have a picture of him in his Brewers uniform. So here's 550. Card number 550 is Hank Aaron, his last card as a active player. Okay, his last base card as an active player. In a Brewers uniform, batting right-handed, thankfully. And Hank looks old. Okay, this is I'm 54 years old right now, so Hank at this point is still 14 years younger than I am, or 15 years younger than I am at this point, or 12 years, whatever. My math sucks. So he's at least a decade younger than I am, but he looks like he could be my father in that picture. And card number one is a record breaker card, and that features him breaking the record for most career RBIs, breaking Babe Ruth's record. So old Babe got hammered in 74 on the home runs and 75 on the RBIs. So again, Hank still holds that record. So good for us, good for Hank. And not to be outdone, I know we talked. I said I was only going to be Topps cards, but it'd be remiss if I didn't put card number 239 for the 1976 SSPC set up there. Again, Hank doesn't look too youthful in that one either. He's wearing the powder blue, of course, road uniform at Shea Stadium, Milwaukee Brewers at Shea Stadium. And I've spoken about this set when I featured it on the episode that this is when the Yankees played at Yankee Stadium during the renovation of. I'm sorry, they played at Shea Stadium during the renovation of Yankee Stadium. So all the cards from this set were shot at Shea Stadium and American League teams as well as National League teams. So still a gem, I think, that 76, 75 SSPC. All right, so we think Hank's done, right? In the 70s, he is. He's retired, long gone. So 79, Topps comes up with the all-time record holders. And, of course, card number 473 is all-time home run records. And it features Roger Maris for season record and Hank Aaron for the career record. And All-time RBI record holders. Card number 472 features Hack Wilson for the season record and Hank Aaron for the career record. 79 set featured possibly the worst of the subsets from the 1970s. And of course, I'm referring to the rookie cards that were all done with the pictures in black and white. Doesn't make any sense to anybody, but for some reason they did that. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. I was so angry. Anyway, so that's old Henry. That's Henry's cards from the 70s and some of his pals from the 60s and the 50s. And again, gentlemen, I consider the greatest hitter in my lifetime. Wonderful human being that persevered under a lot of pressure. I'm not saying the guy's a god, but he had to stay quiet, like Jackie Robinson had to stay quiet, and a lot of people wanted him to fail, and he didn't. So that's old Henry Aaron. Again, I like the old guys. I like the old players. Hank Aaron, of course, again, he played, like I said, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, and 76. So we had him for 7 seasons out of the 10 in the 70s. Just a great player. And they don't make them like that anymore. And, I hate to be too far down on these modern players, but man, it's that's why I'm stuck in the 70s. I guess these guys can just play ball, and they went out there and did it. They threw themselves some complete games, whether they won or lost. They didn't take maintenance days or whatever the heck they're called. They just went out there and played ball, no matter on what surface, no matter what color their uniforms were. They just went out there and did it every day. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a nugget that I found, and just to let you know that I don't think the well will ever run dry on the way things were. We like to think about Walter Johnson as such a great pitcher, right? 417 career victories, 110 career shutouts, 531 complete games in his career. So in 1925, he was 37 years old. It was his last game where he won 20 games. 20-7 he went. So he still won 74% of his winning percentage was 74%. Just a great player, right? Winding up a career. He played 2 more seasons, but something you may or may not know, you probably don't know, but I found out by looking up some things on Baseball Reference. If you look at his standard batting from 1925, we're talking about Walter Johnson here, a guy who won 20 games. Walter Johnson batted, came to the plate 107 times, which is a little below average. He's winding down his career, but a little below average for his career. 97 official at-bats, 42 hits for a batting average of 433. So think about a pitcher who went out there every couple days, right? At least once a week, won your team 20 games and still batted 433. Old Walter had the big train had never even batted 300. So he goes out there at his age 37 season and bats 433. So plenty of nuggets out there. There's plenty of room to go backwards. And I love the numbers. I love the old stuff. And of course, I love the 70s. Love the content that people are making out there. I enjoy listening while I sort. I enjoy participating, perhaps a little too zealously, in some of the chat rooms on the content creators broadcast, but nonetheless, keep on creating, keep on looking back. Enjoy the modern baseball game if that's your thing. I'm happy for you guys. Still couldn't care less, to tell you the truth. It's just a different time and a different vibe now. So anyway, thanks for letting me rant and rave. And sorry if I blew my top there a second ago, but thanks for joining me again on my journey back in time. If you have a comment or suggestion, perhaps you have a set from the 1970s that you'd like to have me feature, uh, reach out to me at ThatSeventiesCardShow at gmail.com, or leave a comment at ThatSeventiesCardShow on the YouTube, or yap at me at 70scard on Twitter. The music that is played on my podcast is by Mango Safari. Um, there was some discussion this week, I think, on one of Bo's broadcasts about copyrighted music. Even though my nephew and his partner, I think Grant, his writing partner and band partner, are Mango Safari, or were Mango Safari, it's not worth getting my YouTube channel frozen because I'm using music that is copyrighted by someone else, even though it's my nephew and he gave me the right to use the music. So if you don't hear it on my YouTube channel, that's why. It's on my podcast, and that's that. An explanation that you didn't ask for, but I gave you nonetheless. So enjoy collecting, and more importantly, enjoy your collection. Hope to see you guys next week. Be safe. Have a great week, and goodbye.